Welcome to the Girl Means Business podcast. I'm your host, Kendra Swalls, a former teacher turned entrepreneur, here to help you navigate the messiness of mom life and biz life. Each week, my guest and I will share our experiences, insights, and tips to help you move your business from survival mode to success mode. So grab your favorite drink and let's dive in, because this girl means business. Hey there, welcome to episode 188 of the Girl Means Business podcast. Guys, I am so pumped for today's episode for two main reasons. One, because our guest this week is Jessica Stansbury, and I freaking love Jessica Stansbury. She has been someone that I have followed on Instagram for a while. I am completely drawn to her personality, her content, just the way that she does Instagram. I absolutely love. She has found a way to make a platform work for her and without having to kind of conform to these are the rules of Instagram. And then her YouTube account, which I found backwards. I found her on Instagram, followed her on YouTube because of it. Most people follow her or find her on YouTube and then move over to Instagram to connect with her. But her YouTube channel is absolutely phenomenal for anyone who is even remotely thinking about starting a YouTube channel or wants to learn more about how to create a YouTube channel or how that works for your business, along with other, content creator type content. She has an incredible platform for that. And so I was so excited when she agreed to be part of this podcast, because she is one of those people I've kind of put in the column of like dream guests to have on the show. And I love that she is so relatable and easily connects with her audience and is just one of those kind of female entrepreneurs that you can tell is constantly lifting up other people around her. So I think you're going to fall absolutely in love with her like I did. The second reason I am really excited about today's episode is because we're talking about a topic that I haven't really talked a lot about on this podcast, and that is passive income. I've done, I think, one other episode talking about income streams and how to add various income streams to your business. But Jessica today is going to really break down kind of three main ways that you can easily add passive income into your business. One of the things that we really dive into in this episode is the difference between passive income and active income. Because a lot of times there's this misconception around what passive income really means and what it is and the work that's required to make it work in your business. And so Jessica does a really good job of kind of breaking that down and explaining the differences and what passive income really means and how to make it work in your business. So I am so excited for you to listen to this interview. So without further ado, let's get to my conversation with Jessica Stansbury. All right, guys, I am super excited to welcome Jessica Stansbury to the podcast. Hi, Jessica. Welcome to Girl Means Business. So excited to have you here. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, I know I mentioned this before whenever we were kind of chatting before I hit record, but I've been following you for a while. I absolutely love your content. I just love you as a person. I love how you come across like just as yourself. And so I'm excited for everyone listening to get to know you if they don't already know you. So tell us a little bit about kind of your story and who you are and what you do for anyone that hasn't met you yet.
Sure. So I started in this like entrepreneurship space a little, it makes me feel so old, but almost 12 years ago. And what really happened was I was a young new mom. So I had my first son at 24 and I was working in a corporate job that I absolutely despised. It was the most miserable experience of my life. And ask me the whole story and I'll tell you. It was just terrible, Yeah. And I had my first son and I was like, I just can't imagine sending him to daycare to go to a job that I hate so much. And it wasn't that I'd always envisioned myself being a working mom. It was more of the environment. I couldn't see the trade-off there, and we could not afford for me to stay at home, but I did it anyway. And I was like, you know what, let's figure out a way to do this. And I cut a lot of bills and did the things and I went home, but I had to make some type of money. I had to do that. And we won't talk about the fact that I did sell an MLM for a month, but we've
all been there. We just block that part out.
Seriously, we'll just breeze past it. It's fine. But then I have a background in advertising and marketing. So I have a degree in advertising and marketing. And I was like, what can I do with these skills? And so I had basically started doing like freelance graphic design and was doing like, I mean, everything like baby shower invitations to like business cards, and like rack cards for businesses. And then I started doing web design because I taught myself web design with a book literally that I bought from Hobby Lobby. Ain't even playing. And it was the for dummies books. And it was before like it wasn't before WordPress, but I didn't know about WordPress. So I was like, trying to build websites, and it was Dreamweaver, which was like the like top thing you build in at the time. Dreamweaver for dummies. And so I taught myself how to do web design. And I did that from late 2010, early 2011 to about 2016, which is when I started like realizing there was more outside of my small town to business. And that's when I started my first podcast. That's when I started on YouTube. And it's kind of snowballed from there. And I quit web design and kind of went full force into what I would call like an infopreneur space in that time. And now I really heavily consider myself a content creator. So it's morphed and like, changed through the years, but like, that's how I got here essentially.
Yeah, I think this is why I love like asking people like their story, because I think it's so cool to see how it has evolved. Like I've yet to meet someone who was like, I left my 9 to 5 to do this thing, or I always dreamed of being an entrepreneur. Like everybody kind of starts and then like just rides the wave of where they're going. And I think that's a really key thing to entrepreneurship is you have to be open to kind of where things just carry you to, and being open to like, what's the next thing? Like, what else am I good at? What else can I do? What else, is in front of me that I didn't even know existed before I got to this point?
Totally. And there's that saying that's like, the business you have now won't be the business you have later. And it's so very true. And, there was this girl one time who doesn't like me, and she was like, I like confronted her and was like, why don't you like me? It's in the business space. And like, most people like me. I don't have a problem with like people not liking me. And so I like confronted her and I was like, what is your problem? And she like had all these insults. And then one of her insults was, and you've pivoted so much and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, okay, I'm not sure if that was supposed to be an insult, but like, cool. Because I follow the lead of my audience and like what my audience wants from me and like where I feel like this should go. And also like, why would I keep doing something I don't enjoy? Right? Like, why would I do that? And so I've always been really open about like making pivots and making changes, because it is really important for people to see like, this is normal. This happens. It is totally a normal thing. I mean, I have seen people go from like real crazy spectrums, like way over here to way over here. And it's okay. It's normal. It's part of it.
Yeah. No, I love, that's why I said, my whole goal here is I want people to hear other people kind of give them permission a little bit to be like, it's okay to kind of pivot and change. And, I left my teaching career to go into photography full time. Mm-hmm. And now photography's become more of like a hobby for me. And I'm doing, more of like the education thing full time. And I had some guilt around that for a little while of like, I've put all this time and energy into this thing. Yeah. And to just kind of not walk away from it. But I think some women feel like they need to be told like, it's okay to let go of that's not serving you right now and move into this other thing that is serving you. And so I just, it's always good to have that like little permission in there to be like, it's okay. You can do this too.
Yeah. So, no, I completely agree.
Yeah. So, okay. One of the things that I went and I binged a bunch of your content because I've been following you. Again, I mentioned earlier, I was like, I somehow just realized you're like huge over on YouTube. I've been following you on Instagram forever and like absorbing all your stuff there. I've binged a ton of your YouTube's content lately. And one of the things you talk a lot about a lot is like passive income and ways people can kind of think outside the box a little bit, not having just one path of way that you're having income. And I have been doing this sort of for years now. I do a lot of I sell stock photography. I've sold, like digital products, things like that, a lot of affiliate stuff. But I want to kind of dive into some of the things that you talk about and like the different streams of income that people can have, the different passive incomes. But I want to start with the question of what is passive income? Because I think people hear that and the vision we get is like this influencer on a beach somewhere talking about how she's making millions of dollars while she travels the world. And that's not exactly what the reality of it is. So can you kind of clarify, like, what is passive income?
Totally. And I completely agree. Like a lot of people are like, oh, like that's, I think I call it the dude bro explanation of affiliate marketing. Cause there's like these guys who are like, yeah, like I made $14 million last year and I worked like, 1 day a week, and it's like, no, you didn't. Like, no, you didn't.
Yeah.
Like that's it. And you, I bought the jet, like, no, and that's like bullcrap. And most people's lifestyle isn't that they're going and buying a jet, so it's ridiculous. But, essentially to me, and what I like to tell people is, first of all, passive income is not passive. It's just more passive than what we would consider active income. And generally, passive income comes down to the fact that you are doing the work before the sale and then creating things or selling things or promoting in some way where something can be sold over and over again. So you're doing work up front rather than after. So think of a business like photography, right? Like if somebody books a session with you, all the work comes after that. Like everything comes after that. And you can't replicate that. Like if someone, if Susie over here books a service with you, books a photography session with you, it's not like that one photography session is the same for everybody who books. You literally have to go out and put the hours in for every person that books. And with passive income, it's front loaded. So it's, I have put in the work to do the stock photography, and then I can put it up for sale. And now Susie and Bob and Jill and Sarah can all buy the same stock photography. I did the work up front, but there's no work after the sale. There's no work on the delivery. So I always say there's little to no work after the delivery. Most of it happens before, and most things in the passive income realm can be created or established one time and sold over and over again, rather than active income, which has to be done individually every single time.
Yeah, that's a great way to explain it. I like the idea of passive versus active. And it's not like the passive income pieces. It's not like you can, with stock photography, for example, I create it once, I put it out there, but it's not like I'm not going back and adding more to it or updating it or seasonally putting things out there. Like I said, there's still things to be done. It's just not something I'm focusing on every day in my business.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I want to really get into some examples of passive income ideas, because for people that are listening who are like, this sounds amazing, I want to add more things to my business, because we'll stick with the photography. It's exhausting. Photography is so exhausting. And it is a one-on-one, like one-to-one model, which is, means a lot of work, and you're typically spending a lot of time and energy on one client. Yeah. So the idea of adding in these passive incomes is really, sounds great, but then what can we do? So what are some of your top passive income ideas that we can share with us?
Yeah. So top number one in most passive would be affiliate marketing, because it's the most passive of anything we'll talk about, because you literally don't do anything other than establish the relationship and maybe create like the link or whatever. And then your job is to distribute that link. And so that's really the only thing there. Whereas with some of the other things we'll talk about, you've got to do a lot more work up front, So affiliate marketing is a great passive income stream. It is really going to be successful though, if you have an audience. So if you're someone who is like, oh, I have nobody in my audience and I want to do affiliate marketing, it's probably not going to work. You'll likely make some sales, but it's not going to be enough for you to be like, wow, I'm really making bank with affiliate marketing this month, And to be completely honest, most passive income does fall heavy on the audience side. So active income, like services and things like that, you can generally make really great money without having to have a large audience behind you. With passive income, the bigger the audience, the more money you make. And that's just what it is. And so I will say that, because a lot of people don't want to build an audience. And then they're like, oh, okay, well then passive income is not for me. So I want to put that disclaimer there, But affiliate marketing would be one of my favorites. Digital products, second
Can
favorite.
I pause you for just a second?
Yes.
And we can be, okay. So I want to go back to the affiliate marketing.
Yep.
So this is one of my favorite things I do, because when I started my podcast, I was listening to, I don't know, I think it was Jenna Kutcher's podcast. Yep. And she talked about like the way that she structured her podcast at the time was she was like, I don't want to take on like advertisers. I want to do more of like my own stuff. And she did a lot of affiliate marketing. And she talked about how like she could actually make more money with the link in her show notes than she could like a one-time payment from, somebody offering to advertise in her podcast. Yep. And so that's how I kind of got started. But for people who are listening going, this sounds great. How do you look for places and things to be affiliates with?
Yes. And that's probably like the top question. I mean, like everybody's like, but how do you do it? Like, how do you get there? So I will say like, there's three main kind of avenues I would go down. One would be affiliate networks. So things like to know it, Amazon, things where you have like a broad spectrum and there are multiple companies in it or multiple products you can link within it. There are things like Impact or Share a Sale, which are like affiliate companies that manage those relationships for brands and for creators. So one, you can totally go apply for and be a part of affiliate networks, and literally just doing a Google search, like affiliate networks will get you, all kinds of options. Like to know it is very much so that's what you're seeing, like the fashion influencers and the home decor influencers use. And it's very much so in that like physical product world. Amazon obviously is all products off of Amazon. And then these others, you can both be an affiliate for digital things and physical things. So it kind of just depends on the business. Like I'm not out here like pimping out my pillows, and so I have a like to know it and I can pimp out the pillows if I want to, but that's like the main source of income for affiliates, right? So that would be one, is like these affiliate networks. Two is going to be going out and finding actual affiliates, like affiliate programs for companies that you already know and love. And that is where like, oh, okay. So for instance, I am doing a video today. I need to edit it today. Actually, I really need to get that done. But I need to edit this video and it's a sponsored spot, but it started out as an affiliate relationship. And that's with like campsite.bio, which is how I do my like link in bio. Right. And so going out and being like campsite.bio, what is their affiliate program, right? And most of the time it's in the bottom of the website. It literally says like affiliate program or whatever, and you can apply and then you can be an affiliate. So go find like products and services and things like that you want to be an affiliate for. Like make a list of the things you already know and love that your audience will then know and love. So that's number two. And then number three would be to go after like people and programs to be an affiliate for. So this is where you can be an affiliate for someone else's courses or someone else's services. And this can be really well paying with a pretty small audience. So I would say if I had a really small audience, I would probably lean towards that at first, because if somebody's going to be an affiliate, like we've all seen, I'm sure you have, everybody's seen when like Marie Forleo launches B School every year, right?
Yeah.
And Amy Porterfield is like, sign up through my link, because then you get these things, but it's because Amy's getting $1,000 every time somebody buys through her link because she's an affiliate. So like those types of things can pay quite a bit of money. And they're things that people don't think about as much as they think about like the pillows on Amazon. Right. And so there's kind of three different buckets, and I would recommend kind of starting with all three buckets and seeing what you, one, enjoy creating content or promoting the most, and two, where you can make the most money, because I can almost guarantee it's not Amazon.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
If you've been listening to the Girl Means Business podcast for any amount of time, then you know my love of email marketing runs deep. Not only is it a great way to generate new leads, but it's one of the most effective methods for nurturing warm leads and turning them into sales. Now, over the years, I've tested several email platforms, and my favorite by far is Flowdesk. Not only do they make email marketing simple and easy, even for the technically challenged, but they have everything you need to create stunning emails, capture leads, make sales, and automate the entire process, giving you time back in your busy day. And the cherry on top is you're only charged one flat fee no matter how many subscribers you have. So while other platforms will increase your price when you go over your pricing tier limit, Flowdesk has no price increases or hidden fees. If you're ready to give Flowdesk a try, click the link below in the show notes to save 50% off your first year. Let Flowdesk help you design emails people will love. Click the link below and check it out. I have a feeling you're going to love it just as much as I do. Yeah. Yeah. And I one of the things that I want to throw in there too is that, and I don't know, maybe you feel differently or the same way, but when it comes to like what you're trying to affiliate promote in your business, it should relate to what you're like. You're talking about the pillow thing. Like that doesn't tie into anything that you're teaching or you're talking about. So it'd be weird for you to be like, hey, by the way, buy these pillows, you know? So, but if you came on, like I've listened to somewhere you were talking about, I think like TubeBuddy was some that you've talked about, like, and that makes sense because it fits into what you're doing.
Yes.
And like one of the things I promote is like Honeybook, because when I was doing photography, that's a huge platform that I've used it to manage everything in my business. It made sense. But if I were to come on here and be like, hey guys, these fishing poles are the best fishing poles to use, like that's going to make zero sense for me to be an affiliate for like Zebco. Like it's just not going to work. So it needs to fit in with what your brand is as well.
Totally. And you can get off the beaten path too, because so like, yes, absolutely. Like I would never put an affiliate like relationship or, you know, like spot or whatever in a video or a podcast episode that wasn't something that fit with my audience. Right. But if I'm on Instagram stories and I'm wearing a sweatshirt, right. And somebody's like, where did you get that sweatshirt? Like, that's not really my brand, but like, yes, I will be an affiliate for that company and promote that sweatshirt. Right. So yes, there are times when I have made money promoting pillows. Guarantee it. I don't know. I don't know if it's been pillows, but you know, something like pillows.
Yeah.
And it makes sense because it's just on Instagram stories and it's very natural. Or someone in like a YouTube video is like, wait, where did you get that plant back there? Right. Or that desk. And so it's natural. And what the dude bro marketers do is they want you to just go affiliate for like all the things that you don't know if they're good services or products or things at all. And they want you to just put out content and like promote this thing. And that really like removes all the authenticity. And at what point are people going to continue buying from you? Right. So affiliate marketing takes a lot of careful planning on, you know, being authentic and like understanding that your audience needs to understand that you actually like something too. And that you're not just doing it just to make money.
Right. Yeah. No, I completely agree. Okay. Moving on to what you said you're starting the second one. So let's go into that one.
Digital products. This is definitely my second favorite. And digital products are, well, they're all over the place, but basically, they are created one time. Like I say, they're usually downloadable products or things that can be used digitally in some way, and they can be created once and sold over and over again. So stock photos is a great example. Digital workbooks, Lightroom presets is a great example. You know, I edit with Final Cut Pro. So like Final Cut or video LUTs or, you could, the possibilities are endless. It could be stock graphics or Canva templates or
say templates are a big one. Yeah. Everybody loves templates.
Everybody loves a good template, you know? And so like Canva templates or like ClickUp templates, like I sell ClickUp templates. And so that's like a software specifically that I sell for. And so, I mean, it's endless, as Katie Heron on Mean Girl says. The limit does not exist. And that's why it's one of my favorites, because it's really easy to create. And no, you're not going to be able to sell digital products for, you know, thousands of dollars like you can the next thing we'll talk about. But you can definitely, you know, sell more of them and still make the same amount of money. And there's less effort involved in the back end.
So do you recommend with your digital products, like, for example, the stock photos, like I sell those on a third party. I sell them through like the Adobe stock platform. I do have some on like Etsy, things like that. Do you think it's better to put digital products out onto like Creative Marketplace, Etsy, things like that, or to have them available like exclusively on your platform?
It
Or
kind
does
of
it matter?
depends. Yeah, it kind of
Okay.
depends. It definitely matters, I think. Because if you have no audience and the only place you're selling them is on your website, then nobody's going to buy them. Right. And so like yes, that matters. But also like if you're creating something that doesn't have any business being on Etsy or Creative Market, like there's not a market for that there, then you're wasting your time putting it there. So it kind of just depends on what it is. But I would highly recommend utilizing those like mass like audience driven sites like Etsy and Creative Market, because why not? Right. Like there's already an audience there looking for the things, and Adobe Stock or like whatever, platform it could be. But I do think if you have an audience, having them on your own website is really important too, because you get to keep 100% of everything that you sell, less any kind of like credit card fees or whatever. But, yeah, like I feel like people miss out on that too. And so I feel like it just kind of depends. And it depends on like what your plans are. If you're like, oh, I have no audience and I'm not going to like run ads or do anything like that, then you're wasting your time putting it on your website. But if you're like, oh, I really want to build my audience. Right now, I'm making all my sales on Etsy, but I'm going to put them on my website because I want them to come to my website. Then you actually have to do the work to get people there. So kind of just depends, honestly, but I'd say both. Both have their place.
Awesome. All right. And then, so affiliate marketing so far, digital products, and then what's next?
Courses.
Love it.
And courses are the least favorite. That's why I made it number 3. No, they're not my least favorite. I'm sorry. They're the least passive.
Yeah.
And so they're actually my favorite, one of my favorite. But they're definitely the least passive because there's a lot of work that goes into creating and launching a course. And it's not something you can just flop up on Etsy or Creative Market. It's very different. And so you do have to build an audience. You do have to get eyeballs on it. You do have to, whatever. There are platforms like Skillshare where you can create courses and put them up on places. But they're just not as like important or I guess popular would be the word, to the industry. Right. And so, but you can charge way more for a course because your knowledge is literally worth the price that you're charging. And so you can dump your brain into a course and charge way more. And so, let's say you're charging $1,000. I have no idea what kind of photography you did, but let's just say it was like wedding photography. And, you put together a course where it's like everything you need to know to run and operate a wedding photography business. And it is $1,000 because it is worth that, because these people otherwise are going to have to like trudge through and learn this on their own. And you sell 10 of them, you just made $10,000, right? And like, that's a big deal. Like 10 is not that many people. You can put your feet to the ground and go sell 10 courses, So courses are definitely one of my faves, and a huge line item in my business. Like courses are probably the number one way I make money. It kind of like flip-flops sometimes, but courses generally sit at the top. And like I say, they're the least passive, but you can charge so much more, and they really set you up to be an expert. So then like your digital products sell better and your affiliate marketing links sell better. So it kind of all works together. What I will say, and we probably will get to this, but I don't want to like leave it out because I'm afraid that like I won't say it. And it's like one of my biggest nuggets I always like to give. For somebody who has a business already, like a service-based business or whatever, any of these can be incorporated into the business and like into it. First of all, like full on into it. Like I was a web designer and I would incorporate affiliate marketing into my web design business because like they had to buy a host and they had to buy like fonts or like whatever. And I would like send these links, but also people forget that there's a whole process someone has to go through before or after they work with you. And that's where digital products and courses really come in handy, because maybe it's that you are a wedding photographer, right? And you have a whole course that they can buy that is, let's say it's really cheap, like $79 or whatever. And it walks them through everything they need to know to make sure they get the best pictures on their wedding day or have the best wedding day. It's something like that. My assistant just got married and it was a lovely wedding, but I almost took a baseball bat to the people who had their cell phones out during this wedding.
It's the worst.
The worst. I actually asked the photographer to tell them to stop because Laura had Laura is my assistant. And she had asked me if I would push the button on her sister's phone to record the ceremony. And I was like, well, I'd be happy to, but why don't I bring my really good camera and I'll just get a video for you? Like, why would I not do that? And so I had my camera set up in the middle of the aisle, and like someone was like literally hanging out into the aisle. So he's in all my shots of their entire ceremony. And I mean, I can't, in pictures, like it's not easy to get them out, but you can get them out, right? Like you can get this person. No, I can't get him out of there. And so, like it could be things like that, like all the things you need to know to make sure your ceremony is whatever, or maybe it's like a digital product to help them do that. Or maybe it's like, you know, a course or a digital product to help them create their own wedding album after they get the photos. So there's so much that can be done within your existing business. It doesn't have to be a completely different or new thing, or it doesn't have to override your existing business. Sometimes you want it to. Like I wanted to work myself out of a job, right? Like I wanted to teach people how to do web design, so that I didn't have to do it anymore. That was my first course, absolutely. You know? But some people don't. Some people want to keep their service and they need these courses to be complementary or digital products to be complementary. And so they can be worked within, but they can also happen before or after someone works with you, which is really important for me to say. And I didn't want to forget that.
No, I think that's so smart because we think about like the in between the lines of like what we do, where our process starts and stops. But we forget that there's a whole journey the client goes through that's beyond us, you know, the before, the after, all the things. So that's really, really smart. So I will say one question that I know, I don't know if it's a question so much as like a block people have when it comes to creating courses. Cause I think with like affiliates and digital products, they're like, yeah, that sounds great. Like I can do that. Mm-hmm. But then they get to the courses part and there's a lot of things that can hang them up. But I think mindset wise, the biggest thing is, well, who am I to teach this? Like, maybe I'm not far enough along I'm not an expert yet, or there's so many other people who are doing this and they're doing it, you know, really well. There's these big names, like, you know, in the education space, you think of like that, like the Amy Porterfields and the Marie Forleos, and you're like, well, who am I to create a course on how to run a business when they're already doing it so well? So do you have any kind of advice for people who are like, I just don't know that I'm enough of an expert in my space to do this?
Totally. And I have to preface this with, you actually have to listen when people tell you what I'm about to tell you, because my husband is like the world's worst. So it just got really dark in here.
It's like, I was like, is there an eclipse?
We went from day to night. It's a big old cloud. But my husband, so he knows literally everything there is to know about farming. Like, I'm not joking. And he knows everything about plants and like things that I don't even remotely know about, you know? And like, you know, somebody mentioned something the other day and it was like, you grow a garden? And I'm like, I don't grow anything. My husband does it all because he knows everything. And we'll be like driving down the road and he's like, yeah, that's a such and such tree. And that's anyway, he has a lot of knowledge in here. Right. But his formal education is in construction. Right. So it's not like his like formal education is in farming. And there are so many times where I'm like, you need to be creating like courses and digital products for people because they want to know what you're doing. And he always comes back to this. Well, there's other people who know more than me, or, you know, whatever. And I am married to the man and literally am like, no, listen to me when I tell you what I'm about to tell you. And he still doesn't listen. So you have to actually listen. Okay. I'm going to preface with that. But secondarily to that, two things. One, you only have to know a little bit more than the people buying your course. It's not like you have to know everything there is to know about this thing, right? So with affiliate marketing, I can guarantee you I don't know everything there is to know about affiliate marketing. But what I do know is my audience. I do know what they need from my course. I do know what they're trying to do, right? And I need to know a little bit more than they know. And that way I can help them shortcut their path to the things that I know. Second thing is that someone very well may need your voice, not that other person you're comparing yourselves to's voice. That's a very hard sentence to say. Comparing yourselves to's voice. Because, you know, there are people who need different things. Like I am like very much so somebody who really tries very hard to make everything super easy and not complicated and not, I don't try and talk over people. I don't try and make things more complicated than they have to be, which means though that like if an engineer who's used to learning in that way comes and takes my course, he or she might not feel like I delivered in the way they expected, right? I didn't have all these like super technical doodads in there. Whereas somebody who is literally just wanting to learn and loves the fact that I teach it more simple would be like, oh my gosh, yes. I think about, so I have a ton of peers in the YouTube space, like a ton of peers in the YouTube space. And we all have like how to do YouTube courses, like with, they're all titled different things and they all have a slightly different like proposition or ideal client or whatever, but we all teach very, very differently. On stage at the last conference I was at, a lot of these peers are on stage with me, and you've got like one who's like very, very like calm, and like his whole speech is like very calm and very like just his personality. And I was literally jumping around on the stage and talking about weird Southern sayings and Gilmore Girls and Yellowstone while I was teaching, right? And so if somebody doesn't want that, they're not going to buy my course. They're going to go buy this other person's course, and that's okay. Like, that's okay. And we can all have a course that we can have the same course, and somebody would still need your voice. Sometimes your voice is what it takes to get a light bulb moment to happen, or to get someone to actually feel like they can do something. And some people like don't need that more technical thing. They don't need 3 steps ahead. They just need 1 step ahead. So it's kind of just remembering that you only have to have like 1 step on the person who's trying to buy your course, and that you are the reason they're buying it, not the information, right? Like, yes, the information, but like you coupled with the information is the reason they're buying it.
The way you're presenting the information. Yes. Yeah. Which, by the way, if you can combine, like, I wish I could have heard yours, because Gilmore Girls, Yellowstone, like that sounds like an amazing talk right there.
It was. I was very, and it's so funny. I always have the goal when I go speak at conferences to make people obviously learn, but to make them pee their pants laughing. Like that is always my goal. And every single conference I've ever spoken at, except for one, I've either had the event organizer or attendees come to me and be like, you were the best talk, or
that's amazing.
You were my favorite. And it's because I try and make it fun. And I do that in all my content, right? Like I do that in my courses, I do that in my videos, I do that in my podcast, I do that on podcast interviews. And so, but like, if you don't want to listen to aside stories about my husband being a farmer, you probably shouldn't take my course, and that's okay. Like, I don't get in my head about it, because I know where my like strengths are. And I think that can be really hard for people to figure out, is like, is that a strength? Is that a weakness? I've been told my whole life that I talk too much. Like that's a weakness. Right. And now at 36 years old, I know it's not. And I try and tell my oldest son, who is also cursed with the gift of gab, that it is not a weakness. And because I was told my whole life that like it was a problem. Right. And and some people may think it's a problem, and then they want the course that's more simple. Right. Yeah. So like it just depends, but hopefully that like helps or speaks to somebody in some way.
Well, I think that, like just in general, and we're talking specifically about like creating this course and putting your expertise out there, but I think it's just a good life lesson to think like you said, the things that we think that maybe are not that great or that aren't like super helpful are the things that other people need. Like I have a way, because I taught elementary school for so long, like I simplify everything to like such a level that I'm like, let me get my whiteboard and draw you a picture, like Pictionary style, because that's how my brain works. And I'm always like, no, it's too simple. Like I need to beef it up more. I need to be more technical. I need to be more this. I need to be more that. And it's taken me a long time to realize that, like you said, like, no, that's what some people need, is they do need me to like break it down into stick figure drawings that is going to put it on like a 2nd, 3rd grade level and be like, okay, no, I can do this, because she was able to simplify it. Where my husband is that technical person. Mm-hmm. He's the guy that will come in and he'll start talking like all the like lingo and jargon. And I'm looking at him like, you lost me in like sentence 2, because I was too focused on the one word I didn't understand that you said. I'm So it's, again, when I was teaching, you would have kids whose parents would come in and be like, I have showed them how to do this 5 million times, but it took a separate voice to come in and do it. So
yes,
sometimes you are that voice that like they may have heard it 20 times on a podcast episode or on YouTube or reading it in blog posts, but you come in and you say it in your voice and the light bulb goes off. So don't discount that as being your superpower.
Completely agree.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay. So we've done affiliate marketing, digital products, courses. Is there anything else you want to cover as far as like how to help people kind of create these income streams?
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hey, photographers, are you ready to make 2024 your best year yet? Growing a business is tough. You're following all the successful photographers and experts, soaking up their best advice and downloading all their free guides, trying to replicate their success only to come up lacking, blaming yourself when their methods don't work for you. But the truth is, it isn't you. Free content and one-size-fits-all courses can only get you so far. What you need is personalized help and guidance, but that can get expensive. Well, not anymore. I've created the perfect solution to get you personalized results for less than $2 a day. Introducing the Focus Photographer Lab, a one-of-a-kind coaching membership that gets you one-on-one results for a fraction of the cost of traditional coaching. Inside the lab, you'll find the 3 C's to success: classes, coaching, and community. With classes, you gain access to a treasure trove of pre-recorded trainings and invaluable resources. With coaching, you get monthly live trainings and Q&A sessions, along with my favorite part, the weekly one-on-one office hours, where we get to address your unique questions and challenges. And then there's the community, where you get to connect with an amazing group of talented female photographers who share your passion, supporting each other and inspiring each other to greatness. The best part is it doesn't come with an expensive one-on-one coaching price tag. You get all of that for just $47 a month. You can even try it for free for 14 days to make sure it's a good fit for you. And there is no contract and no obligation. You can cancel at any time. So what are you waiting for? Head down to the show notes and click the link to learn more and get signed up today. And let's make 2024 our best year yet.
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of other passive income streams, by the way. Like, we could bucket a ton of them in there, but I feel like these are the 3 with the lowest barrier to entry, and also like the 3 that most people are going to want to do, you know?
Yeah.
And probably the most lucrative, right? Like when you really look at the long form, you know, viability of everything.
Yeah.
But as far as like doing it, I would just say to like pick one. So many people get hung up in the decision-making process and they're like, well, I need to be an affiliate for this and I need to, no, pick one thing you're going to focus on and figure out how you can incorporate that into your existing business or into your existing like content creation strategy or like whatever you're trying to do. And then you can add on other things. Like that's what I would suggest, like of the biggest things that I could suggest. But also really, really nailing your niche and your ideal person, because even with affiliate marketing, you have to know who you're talking to. Otherwise, you're going to be sharing things that the people that you've cultivated or are trying to cultivate do not give a flying fart about, right? And so you have to understand who that niche is and you have to niche down. And a lot of times people get really, really hung up in the niche, like really hung up. Like, I want to talk about all the things. Well, I do too, Linda, but to make money, like we have to focus. We have to like bring it back. And as you grow, you can then start to niche out, which is what I've done. So basically, if you can like start with a really small or like not small, but narrow niche and really figure out how to make money in that niche. First of all, you're going to stand out for that alone. If you're making courses all over the board, or, you know, you're making digital products all over the board, you're never going to stand out. You know, what's the little boy on The Incredibles, Dash, is that his name? I think his name's Dash.
Yeah.
Okay. So he had, you know, he's like racing in the first video and then he joins the track team, right? And they're like, don't go that fast, but like go fast, but like win just by a little. And they're having this conversation. He's like, Mom, if everybody's special, then nobody's special. And the same thing goes with your like digital products. If you're creating for everybody, you're literally creating for nobody. If you're creating courses for everybody, you're creating for nobody. If you're creating content for everybody, you're creating for nobody. So we've got to understand that like niching is like where the power is. And yes, it could feel restrictive at first, but as you grow, you can start to like expand that out and it's not going to feel as like, constraining.
Yeah. Oh, niching. That's one of the things that like people get so terrified. I get messages anytime I talk about it, or, I'm working with coaching clients. They're like, oh, it's so scary because they're so afraid to eliminate people. Yeah. And it's somehow magically works the opposite way. Like you attract more people when you are specific in who you're talking to and what you do. So it's this weird, like backwards thing, but it works. It really does work.
Totally. Yeah. I have a really good friend who is he owns like a t-shirt and like custom goods business here locally. And he is very public with his political opinions. Okay. And something I would not, like, I'm just not that person. Like, I don't, I'm not out here running that kind of business, but he doesn't care. And for years I was like, you really shouldn't do this. Like, this just feels like something you shouldn't do. And after this last like election and everything I saw go on online, he wasn't attacked. He wasn't canceled. He wasn't told that his opinions were bad or wrong or whatever, because he was always that way, right? Like he was always standing up and being like, this is how I feel. If you don't like it, leave. Right. Yeah. And he wasn't afraid to ostracize the other side of the aisle and whatever that is, and that alone helps him make more money, because then like the people who identify with it. Right. Mm-hmm. And then the people who don't are like, ooh, I would never buy from his business. And that's totally fine. And you don't have to go that extreme. I don't recommend that at all, because you're opening yourself up to like a lot when you do that. Yeah. But drawing some kind of line in the sand to be like, this is where I stand. And it could be on something as simple as like niching, or, the kind of t-shirt you like to buy, or like whatever, right? It could be anything. This is where I stand. It really helps people say like, oh, well, I really identify with that person. I really want to do that. That's why I'm really intentional with incorporating random crap into my content. Like just in this conversation, that my husband is a farmer. That I like The Incredibles, clearly, that I like Gilmore Girls, Yellowstone, and like whatever else I mentioned, right? And that I'm like a football mom if you're watching the video, right? So these things. And so none of those have anything to do with my business, but they do cause people to be like, oh, I also love Gilmore Girls, or, oh my gosh, I am a football mom, or, whatever. And so it's one of those things where we have to put in pieces into the niche that tell people that we're not for them. We're not for them. We're not your person. And that's okay. Yeah. And if you need to leave and go find somebody else, then girl, do it. Like it is not a problem. And I think being yourself is the easiest way to do that. Honestly, I think like picking a niche and then being yourself within that niche is like the easiest way to do it, because then there's no way to like not be yourself, when it's exhausting trying to be something that's not yourself, I say this a lot, but like if you go, when I started this business, the Girl Means Business brand, I thought I needed to be like, everything needed to be like really simple and like the white, bright, airy stock photo. And like everything had to be like really calm and like talking like this. I'm like, I can't do this. This is not who I am. And you can see, if you go all the way back to my Instagram, you can see like the change in where I started like becoming myself, and the brand looked and sounded more like me. And I don't have to think about what I'm saying or how I'm saying. It's just like, this is who I am, and I think that's one of the things that like drew me to you. Was I loved that you were that same way. You were like, this is who I am. And I'm going to take these little side trails, and I'm going to have a side note, and I'm going to talk about the farm, and I'm going to talk about this, and I'm going to talk really fast, and I'm going to say all the things, because that's what I connect with. But like you said, there are people who are like, no, I really need someone who's a little bit more like low key. And that's totally fine. That's, we all have our own little places in the world. And that's what I love about the internet and the age that we're in now, is that everybody can find
their version of what they need to
Totally.
connect with. So it's
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah. Well,
Yeah, and
Jessica, oh yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was
No.
just going to say that's like one of the best compliments to me. And it's also like one of the things people tell me the most is like, they'll meet me in person. And I'll be like, you're exactly how you are online. I'm like, yes,
the
of course
point.
I am. Like, I don't know how to be somebody different, but also I've learned that like, that is such a compliment because it's like, oh, I'm really doing what I'm trying to do here. You know, like I'm really trying to like be that person that is just that person, you know? And I had a conversation with a photographer at my assistant's wedding, and she was saying that she wanted to like move into some like brand photography, blah, blah, blah. And she was like, do you think I'm hurting myself by not having a studio? Everybody where I live has like these bright white studios. And I was like, no, I don't want that. I want you to take me to the building somewhere in your town that's painted yellow or pink or whatever. And I want to stand in front of that for my pictures. Like, I don't want the bright white stuff, you know? And so everybody has like a thing they like and a thing they don't like. And if you can like, you know, be the thing that certain people like, you're going to win either way.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And I think that's like, you have to stand out. I mean, again, like we could get on a whole, like this could be a whole other podcast episode that we do here. But I totally agree. I think that it's too much of a struggle to try to pretend to be somebody that you're not. And it's exhausting and you're going to burn out and you're not going to enjoy your business after a while. So all this has been, again, I could keep talking with you for hours and hours and hours. I know you have a lot to do today. I really, really appreciate you being on the podcast and chatting with us. And I just love following you and getting to know you and feel like I know you already, even though like this is the first time we've like, I guess they met in person, met via Zoom,
right?
But I feel like I already know you and I love that about you. So thank you so much for coming on, sharing your expertise. Tell everybody where they can get in touch with you and find you on the internet, Instagram, YouTube, all the things, and anything else you want to share with the audience.
Sure. Thank you for having me, first of all.
Yeah.
Second of all, you can find me everywhere by my name, Jessica Stansbury. I am like all the places with my name. On Instagram, it's just at Jessica Stansbury. On YouTube, that's the name of my channel too. My website is heyjessica.com. So if you forget any of this, you can just be like, oh, I can remember that. Hey, Jessica. So heyjessica.com, it has all the links to everything, you know, all my socials. And then that's also where all my digital products and courses and stuff are. So that can be a really great place to hang out too.
Yeah. Well, thank you again so much. And I would love to have you on again and we can dive into other topics in the future if you are open to that. Awesome. All right. Well, have a wonderful day. We'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed the conversation as much as I did. And as always, you can find any links or resources mentioned in today's show down in the show notes. And if we're not friends outside the podcast yet, then what are you waiting for? Come find me on Instagram at Girl Means Business and send me a DM letting me know what you thought of today's episode or any of the past episodes you've listened to. You can also take a screenshot of today's episode and post it to your stories, tagging at Girl Means Business, and I'll give you a shout out on my page. I love connecting with you and hearing all about your business and can't wait to get to know you more. I hope you have a wonderful week and I will meet you back here next week, same time, same place.